Hi, this is Mrs. Wyrick with Seminole County Virtual School, and I just wanted to share just a kind of a silly way that I teach electron configuration when I was face-to-face in the classroom, and hopefully it will help you here in the virtual environment. So I called this activity the Hog Hotel, and so essentially what's going to happen is we are going to pretend that we are working at a hotel, and we are going to check in our piggy guests. And so the funny thing about these pigs is they have some rules. So here are the Hog Hotel rules. First, hogs are lazy. They do not want to climb upstairs unless they absolutely have to. Um, they just don't want to. The second rule is they want to be alone. These pigs are messy, right? And they don't want to have to share their space with another pig, unless, of course, it means that they would have to climb stairs to be alone. They won't do that. Or if they have to go into a small room to be alone, they'd rather share a bigger room with another pig. And the third rule is that the hogs are going to face opposite directions if they have to share a room. So they don't want to see each other, they don't want to smell each other, so they're going to turn opposite directions. So I wanted to give you a quick layout of our Hog Hotel. So here's our hotel map. On the very first floor, we have this nice large suite. Well, and then obviously a convention center. It's a nice hotel. Now on the second floor, we have one large room, and then we have three smaller rooms, and of course your housekeeping closet. And then on the third floor, we have another large room, three small rooms, and then this kind of dinky tiny room, which we'll talk about later. On the fourth floor, once again, we have a nice big suite. We have three smaller rooms and then another dinky room. So let's go ahead and check in some of our guests. We've got our reminders. Hogs are lazy. They want to be alone and they're going to turn away from each other. So today we have Monday. Monday, we have 5 hogs checking in. So we're going to start first floor. This little hog is going to come down here and is going to check in on the first floor. He gets the nice big room because it's the first one. The second pig is going to check in, doesn't want to climb the stairs, so it will share its room, but it has to face the opposite direction. So we want to make sure we flip our little piggy around. Okay, well, we still have more pigs to check in, so I'm going to bring this little guy in. He's going to go up to the second floor because he's our third pig to check in. Our fourth pig is also going to climb up, and instead of going to one of these smaller rooms here, it's not going to do that. It's going to share the room with this pig because it's a big room. They've got plenty of space, but it has to flip the opposite direction. And then I have one little piggy left, and so my last little piggy doesn't have any room in any of the big hotel rooms. We can't put 3 piggies in a room. He's going to go to this small room here, but he's going to have the small room to himself. Okay, so that is our first day checking in. Well, let's go ahead and see what happens on Tuesday. We have 11 hogs checking in. So first one's going to go on the first floor. Second little pig's going to go on the first floor also. But this little piggy has to face the opposite direction. Okay, then our third pig checks in. They're going to climb up to the second floor. Fourth pig's going to share the room because it would rather share a big room than go down the hall to a smaller room. All right, well, here's where it gets tricky. Pig number 5 checks in. All right, pig number 5 is in a room by itself. It's a small room. Pig number 6 checks in. It's going to go to the next small room because there's still open small rooms. They don't have to share yet. Our 7th little pig is going to check in and go to the small room, but we're not done and we have pigs left over. So now this 8th little piggy is going to come in. There's no room on the first floor. There's no room in the big room on the second floor, so he's not going to fit here. He's got to share this small room with the first piggy. So we're going to turn this little hog the other direction. Okay. Our next pig, no room in these two, no room on the first floor, no room on the second floor until they get to the second small room on the second floor. And again, piggy's going to turn the opposite direction, does not want to be near his friend, or his not friend, I guess. And then our next piggy is going to come in. He will go straight to the second floor, third room, and he's going to face away from the other piggy. I have one pig left. This pig is kind of gets the good and the bad, right? He's going to climb all the way up to the third floor, but he gets that giant room all to himself. So that is our second hotel check-in. Now, oh my gosh, we've got so many pigs coming in on this day. So let's take a look and see what's happening. Let's go ahead and get them in. So I know that I can fit 2 pigs in the first floor, but this pig's going to have to flip around and face the opposite direction. Second floor is going to take 2 more pigs, flip them around, flip. Okay, and then I've got more pigs. These guys are going to all fill up the small rooms first. Small room, small room, small room on the second floor. And then we're going to add our second pigs because there's no room in the first floor, or the first floor is full. There's no room in the big hotel room on the second floor. So they're going to have to share these small rooms, which means they're going to obviously face opposite directions from their not pig friends. Oops, missed my flip button. All right, so then I'm going to go on to the third floor. Again, we've got so many piggies. So we're just going to keep putting our pigs in rooms. Okay, so my third floor big room is full. Now I'm going to go to the smaller rooms on the third floor. Okay, that's my third. 1 room, 2 rooms, 3 rooms, each have 1 pig in there. So now we're going to start doubling up our small rooms. These are probably going to be some pretty grouchy piggies in here. Doop doop. We're just going to keep flipping these little guys around so they face the opposite direction of their friends. All right, so now I'm going up to the 4th floor. Can you believe it? 4th floor. All right, so I've got these 2. We're going to fill up this big room on the 4th floor, face opposite directions, and I have 1 piggy left. Now here's the weirdest thing that happens. If this room is full, before this piggy goes into this small room by himself on the 4th floor, he finds a hallway to take him back downstairs to this special little tiny room. And he will go into this tiny room on the 3rd floor. Okay, so he will go from the 4th floor down the stairs to this tiny room on the 3rd floor. And so that's what ends up happening with this last piggy. Okay, so let's see what this has to do with electron configuration. Okay, so when we're talking about electron configuration, electrons follow the same rules as the hogs. Electrons are going to be in the lowest energy level that has space. That's kind of like the lowest floor in the hotel, you know, the lazy pigs, okay? Electrons are going to repel each other, so they're not going to be super close together. They're going to be in their own orbital unless they have to share if they would move up to an energy level, you know, if that was the only way that they could avoid sharing. So the third thing is the electrons are going to spin in opposite directions when they share an orbital. This is because they're negatively charged and negative things repel from each other. So we call this Hund's rule. So let's look at a modified periodic table that looks at those specific blocks. So you'll see we call them, instead of, you know, floors and the different kinds of rooms, our S orbital is a sphere shape. And so we see that group 1 and group 2 on the periodic table, including helium over here, this is the S block. Okay, then we have the P block over here in this orangish yellow. And so the P block has 6 possible spaces. If you remember back to our Hog Hotel, I'm going to flip back for a second. Over here, these are like your P orbitals. You can have 3 P orbitals, and each orbital can hold 2 electrons or 2 pigs. Our large S orbital can only hold 2 pigs, but that's your sphere shape. So you get 1 S per floor. You can have 3 P orbitals, or 3 of the small rooms, and that makes up your 6 electrons here. Then, once you've completely filled up all the way through 4S, just like we did on that last hotel reservation, we end up going kind of like downstairs to the D orbital, or the D block. And so this is our transition metals. These are kind of weird because I feel like I kind of explain these as being deep pockets. Sometimes your transition metals can change the number of valence electrons they have in their outermost shell because they send electrons downstairs into the D orbital. And so sometimes it's also kind of like having deep pockets. Okay, sometimes we hide electrons in here, and so then they're not in the outermost shell anymore. So they're kind of strange. And then when you get to the F block, that one is like a big flowery shaped. It can hold a whole bunch more electrons than what can be held in the D orbital. Remember, you can have a maximum of 6 in the p orbital, and you can have a maximum of 2 in the s orbital. You can hold a whole bunch more in your f orbital, and these are your inner transition metals. So let's take a look at sodium, which has 11 electrons. And so I want to kind of show you a couple different ways we can represent this information. If you were to just straight up write out the electron configuration for sodium, you would say 1s2, because there's 2 electrons in that first s orbital on the first level. So this is like first floor. The S suite has 2 piggies in it, okay? Then you say 2s2, okay, that represents the second floor or the second energy level in the s orbital or the s suite, and it has 2 piggies in it. Okay, so 2s2. We have a total of 4 electrons that we're accounting for here. Then we have 2p6, so that means that I fit 6 of these electrons on the p orbital, and you'll see just like when we did our 11 here, you have your piggies, okay, your 11 piggies are each these, they're sharing the small p orbitals, but you only have 2 piggies in each. Okay, so 2p6, and then we're left over with 1 extra electron, so it moves up to the 3rd floor or the 3rd energy level, and you have 3s1 because there's only 1 electron there. Now this is a weird diagram over in this middle section, but you start kind of at the point and you go down and backwards when you're filling. So you go 1s first, and then 2s, and then you come over and do 2p 3s, and then you would fill 3p 4s, and then we come over to the 3d 4p 5s. And so this is just telling you the sequence that you fill these different orbitals. So once your 5s is full, then you go to 4d, then 5p, then 6s. So if we think about that, that's the same as here. If I were to start at the very beginning, I don't know how to draw an arrow. Let me see. Can I draw an arrow? If I start right here, oops, wrong way. If I start right here with my arrow, it goes 1s1, 1s2, and then I move on. And now I have 2s1, 2s2, and then it moves on 2p1, 2p2, 2p3, 2p4, 2p5, 2p6. That fills up my p orbital. So I have 6 electrons here. So then if I move on and go to the 3rd row, 3s1, 3s2, and then I move across. I skip over the transition metals because they're not there yet. Then I have 3p1, 3p2, 3p3, 3p4, 3p5, 3p6. And then when I go to the 4th energy level, 4s1, 4s2, and here's where the 3d comes in. We go downstairs to the d orbital, 3d1, 3d2, 3d3, all the way to 3d10, and then 4p1, 4p2. So we go back up to the 4th energy level and all the way to 4p6. And this is kind of how this pattern would continue. So we get 3d, 4p, and then 5s. So I hope that kind of helps to explain a little bit about electron configuration. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message, and good luck. Bye.